Welcome to mybooksummary.com. Get ready for quick wisdom of countless books in just minutes and explore. The Ugly Duckling by Hans Christian Andersen is not just a fairy tale. It's a mirror reflecting the human journey of self-discovery and acceptance. Published in 1843, this beloved story follows the trials and triumphs of a misunderstood young duckling, ridiculed for his differences, only to find his true identity as a beautiful swan. It is a tale brimming with lessons about resilience, self-worth, and the beauty of inner transformation. With its universal themes and deeply human emotions, it continues to resonate with readers of all ages. Now, let's waddle into the narrative and explore this heartwarming story in vivid detail. The Unwanted Arrival, an egg like no other. Once upon a time, in a cozy nest by a shimmering pond, a mother duck patiently waited for her eggs to hatch. She had already spent weeks warming them, and finally the day arrived. One by one, the eggs cracked open, revealing fluffy yellow ducklings peeping with excitement. The mother quacked proudly as her brood waddled around her, discovering the world for the first time. But one egg, larger and oddly shaped, remained stubbornly intact. It rocked and wobbled for days until with a great crack, out emerged a strange, awkward creature. This new arrival wasn't yellow and cute like the others. Instead, it was gray, lanky, and clumsy, with oversized feet and a long neck. The other ducklings stared, their tiny beaks tilted in confusion. "What is that?" they whispered. Even the mother duck blinked, trying to mask her surprise. But being a kind soul, she welcomed the odd duckling with the same warmth she showed her other children. Life in the farmyard, mockery and misery. From the very start, life wasn't easy for the gray duckling. In the bustling farmyard where the duck family lived, everyone had an opinion about the newcomer. The other ducklings teased him mercilessly, calling him names like ugly and clumsy. The hens clucked disapprovingly, the geese hissed, and even the farm's children pointed and laughed. The duckling's differences seemed to magnify under their cruel gaze. His awkward waddling and inability to fit in left him feeling like an outcast. "Why am I so different?" he often wondered, his little heart heavy with sorrow. Even his own siblings weren't kind. They joined the chorus of jeers, pushing him away when he tried to join their games. His mother, though loving, could only do so much to shield him. "Stay out of their way," she advised, hoping he might find some peace. But the taunts continued, and soon, the duckling began to believe that he truly was worthless. The first escape into the wild unknown. Unable to endure the constant ridicule, the duckling made a brave decision. One crisp autumn morning, as the first leaves began to fall, he waddled away from the farmyard. Tears blurred his vision as he crossed meadows and streams, leaving behind the only home he'd ever known. Though the world beyond the farmyard was vast and beautiful, it was also fraught with dangers. The duckling encountered wild geese, who dismissed him as ugly before flying away. He tried to find refuge among reeds by a quiet pond, but even there, other creatures mocked his appearance. As days turned into weeks, the duckling grew lonelier. Hunger gnawed at his belly, and the chilly winds of autumn pierced his thin feathers. Still he pressed on, determined to find a place where he could belong. The cottage, a brief respite. One day, the duckling stumbled upon a small cottage nestled in the woods. The door was slightly ajar, and inside, a kind old woman lived with her cat and hen. Seeing the duckling shivering and hungry, she welcomed him in. For a brief moment, the duckling thought he had found a new home. The old woman, though eccentric, was kind enough to share her food. But the cat and hen weren't as welcoming. They constantly reminded the duckling that he didn't belong. "Can you lay eggs?" the hen clucked smugly. "Can you catch mice?" the cat sneered. "No," the duckling admitted, feeling smaller with every passing day. Frustrated and longing for freedom, he left the cottage to continue his search. Winter's cruel grip, survival and suffering. As autumn turned to winter, the duckling's journey grew even more challenging. The first snowfall covered the landscape in a blanket of white, and the ponds he once relied on for food froze solid. Cold and alone, the duckling's spirit began to waver. He wandered through snow-covered fields, his frail body trembling against the biting wind. There were moments when he thought he might not survive. But then came the swans. One frosty morning, as the duckling stumbled across a frozen lake, He saw them, majestic, elegant creatures gliding gracefully across the ice. Their beauty took his breath away. "They're so beautiful," he whispered, longing to join them but too ashamed of his appearance. As the swans flew off into the sky, the duckling made a silent promise to himself. "If I can't be like them," he thought, "at least I can admire them from afar." Spring's renewal, a transformation unveiled. Winter eventually gave way to spring, and with it came new life. The icy ponds melted, and the sun's warmth returned to the land. For the duckling, who had survived against all odds, something miraculous began to happen. One morning, as he splashed in a pond, he caught sight of his reflection in the water. At first, he didn't recognize the sleek, elegant bird staring back at him. He craned his long neck, spread his wings, and blinked in disbelief. "I'm not ugly," he whispered, his heart racing with joy. The duckling had grown into a swan, a creature of breathtaking beauty. No longer clumsy or awkward, he glided through the water with grace he never thought possible. A new beginning, finding belonging. Not long after, the swan encountered a flock of his kind, the very swans he had admired in the winter. Nervously, he approached them, expecting rejection. But to his surprise, they welcomed him warmly. "You're one of us," they said, their voices filled with kindness. For the first time in his life, the swan felt a sense of belonging. He was no longer the ugly duckling everyone had mocked. He was a swan, a creature of strength, grace, and beauty. Final thoughts. A tale of hope and self-discovery. Hans Christian Andersen's The Ugly Duckling is more than just a story about a bird. It's a powerful metaphor for the human experience. Through the duckling's journey, Andersen explores themes of resilience, self-acceptance, and the importance of finding one's place in the world. The humor and heartbreak of the duckling's early struggles make his ultimate transformation all the more poignant. His story reminds us that life's challenges, though painful, often pave the way for growth and self-discovery. In the end, The Ugly Duckling is a tale of hope. It teaches us that beauty isn't always apparent at first glance, and that everyone has the potential to bloom into their true selves, given time and perseverance. So, the next time you feel like an outsider or doubt your worth, remember the ugly duckling. Like him, you might just be a swan in the making. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybookssummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.